Hey, this is Jay with AutotechU. Today we're going to look at an 02 Subaru Forester. Customer complained there's a check engine light, and they went by one of the big chain auto parts stores, and they couldn't communicate with the computer. They couldn't interrogate it for a code. So we'll check that out first, and we'll determine what the check engine light is, and we'll go from there. Okay, here we go. We've actually got our scan tool. This is one of the ones that we use. We have some factory equipment too, but this one's a pretty decent all-around scan tool for all makes and models. So, okay, here we go. Looks like a p1443 vent control solenoid valve function problem. So there's some tests we can do to determine what that code is being caused by. So we'll check that out. But again, that's the difference between an actual scan tool as opposed to just a code reader, because the code reader attempts to interrogate, and it just doesn't have the software capabilities for all vehicles, all problems. So it's a good little tool, but nothing beats an actual scan tool to actually do the proper interrogation of the module. So let's get on that. Okay, the first step to determine what that code means is it's a problem with the vent control solenoid, which is on the canister in the back of the vehicle. So the first thing you do on the Subaru, they actually have a connector underneath the dash, and I'll show you that in a second. You can connect that connector together, turn the key on with the engine off, and all the solenoids and relays on the vehicle, it just cycles them so you can actually check them physically to see if they're working or not. So the first thing we'll do is we'll get underneath there and connect that connector together, and so we can get it in that test mode. Here's that connector underneath the dash. It's a green connector, and it's a test connector. It's just for this purpose. You connect these two connectors together, just like that, and you cycle the key to key on, engine off, and right now I can hear some relays now. All the relays on the vehicle, solenoids, relays, they're being cycled on a 1 second interval, and that's for the purpose of testing. And so while it's doing that test mode, we'll raise the vehicle up, and we're physically going to inspect the solenoid for the vent control on the Evap system to see if it's actually mechanically working. So that's our first step. Here we are underneath the Subaru, and the canister is on the right rear, and the solenoid is right up here. You can't hear it, but you can feel it clicking. I can hear it a little there. You can feel it clicking. And so it's mechanically operating. So we're going to unplug our connector there and turn the key off so we can actually get in here and take this out and do some more tests. The next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to test it for mechanical operations and electrical operations. Okay, we have our solenoid here, and the first thing we're going to do is check the operation of it. We're actually going to apply power to the solenoid with a power probe. We've used this in the past. And you can apply power or ground to a circuit and turn it to make it quiet, but you can actually hear it working. Another thing I like to do, kind of gross but necessary, you can get a clean hose put on there and try, but I've cleaned this, and you actually want to blow on it. You can blow through it right now. It's in the open position. It's normally open, and then we'll apply power to the solenoid. Alright, I can feel a little bit getting past. I'm blowing on it, and some air is escaping the diaphragm on the inside. It's probably the fault of the solenoid. But we'll go ahead and check the ohms resistance on this solenoid as well. And on this particular solenoid, anything between 30 and 50 is considered in range. And we're a little low there at 26.1. Which probably would be okay, but it is out of spec, so I would recommend replacing this just on the ohms test here. Also, with applying the power to the solenoid and air escaping past the diaphragm, that would lead to believe that it's not closing the vent, and air escaping through the evap system. The pressure sensor on the tank would set a code because it's losing pressure during pressurization or vacuum. So we're going to replace this with a new solenoid, and we'll show you how to get that back on, or you just put it back in the way you got it. Now that we're finished with that test, we need to get in and plug our test connector. Don't want to forget and leave that plugged up, it'll cause problems. So, you just leave it unplugged like that. This is Jay with AutotechU. I appreciate you watching. Thanks.